Hey guys, Joe at Small Home Upgrade Prepping. Welcome to our channel. So the last few months, couple months, we've been spending a lot of time on electric, solar, generators. I've gotten a lot of feedback on that from you guys. I've gotten a lot of questions, a lot of comments. A lot of you have written me just to tell me that you've connected your generator, you had your electrician come out, and you guys have done all that. But today we're talking about something in lines, but slightly different, okay? And what would happen if everything you just did, your solar, your generator, all of that, all of a sudden didn't work, okay? When you needed it, when the time comes down that the grid went down, what if that generator that you spent all that money in and hooked up to your house didn't work? And what if your solar didn't work, okay? Well, how would that happen, okay? Let's talk about a few things that have been going on just in the last 4 weeks that I've been paying attention to. And when you have a channel like this here, this mostly comes in through our Facebook a lot of times, not even comments on this channel here, but we do have a Facebook at this point where I don't know where, somewhere close to around 3,000 followers and friends on there. So if you're not part of that, go ahead and go on Facebook, type on Small Home Off-Grid Prepping, and we'll pull up, send us a request, and we'll accept you guys, okay? But a lot what happens that's coming in is people directing me towards links, giving me information, stuff like that, which I pay a lot of attention to anyways, okay? But let's just talk about the last 4 weeks, okay? Some of the things that have happened in the last 4 weeks. We've had, right off of my backyard in the coast of Florida and the coast of South Carolina, I believe it was, we had a Russian spy ship. I believe it was the Russian, yeah, the warship was off somewhere else, but we had a Russian spy ship, okay, that just all of a sudden appeared out there, kind of slipped past us. We had one, and I can't remember if it was Alaska. This was a Russian warship, I believe. Alaska or Hawaii. If you guys remember this, comment down below to remind me. I have a lot of links in this video that I'm including for you guys today because there's a lot of information to take in here. But the bigger thing that's happened, okay, is we've had 4 balloons, all right, and one of them, okay, they're admitting was Chinese. The rest we supposedly don't know. They were smaller, they were different. But let's just talk about the Chinese balloon that came into our airspace, okay? This Chinese balloon that came into our airspace, we're hearing a lot that it was a spy balloon. It just went over military installations. It recorded this, it recorded that, and there's a real bigger problem to this, okay? And again, I've included a link, and this one I believe is through Washington Examiner. What just happened is this Chinese spy balloon just exposed our vulnerability to an EMP attack, all right? An EMP attack, what is an EMP attack? An EMP attack is a quick burst of electromagnetic energy, okay? And what it would do is it destroys electronics, all right? And this is where I was talking about what if your generator doesn't work. If we get hit with an EMP, and what this balloon just did, okay, this balloon slipped into our airspace without us knowing about it, right past our radar, and flew at an altitude high enough that it could have set off an EMP bomb, okay? And an EMP bomb has to go be set off at a certain altitude in order for it to work. But at 250 feet, a 1.4 megaton nuclear bomb over Kansas, I believe it was, and there's links I've included to all this, would pretty well melt down the grid in all 48 states, okay? Now, the bigger problem that we have with this is in a report to Homeland Security in 2020, and again, there's got to be links to all this on the bottom. We have a lot of links here, so you guys go and just read all this stuff yourself here. But in a report to Homeland Security in 2020, I believe it was basically announced that China has first strike capabilities, okay? China's EMP weapons program is not only way more sophisticated than ours. The problem is China, Russia, North Korea, South Korea, most of our enemies have actually hardened their electrical grid to not be affected by EMPs. We're here in America, we have not. Again, there's a link for this here, you guys can read it. Not only have we not, but we have some government and military installations that have been hardened, so they wouldn't be affected by EMPs. But the rest of us, we're basically on our own, okay? And an EMP will affect your generator. It will not affect your solar panels, but it will fry all the wiring for your solar panels. It will fry the inverters, charge controllers, all that most likely would be damaged, okay? So China, like I said, not only has first strike capabilities that they can set off an EMP, they just sent a balloon into our atmosphere that we did not cover into our airspace, that we did not pick up on radar, and it wasn't at an altitude high enough that it could have knocked out a lot of our power had that been their intention, okay? It could have brought in germ warfare, chemical warfare, a lot of other things, but it's the EMPs that would be more concerning to me. And like I said, I'm talking about this because I have a lot of information, a lot of links that I'm giving you guys here, and people just give me information and all that. But you guys know, if you've watched some of my first prepping videos, Don't Be a Panic Prepper is probably the first one I would refer to. I tell you guys, we prepare because it's better to have and not need than it is to need and not have, all right? And it's that simple of a reason. And when we get to the end of this video, I'm going to explain to you guys what you could do to protect yourself from the EMP. there is ways you could protect yourself from all this here, okay? If the Chinese or any of our enemies, Russia has the same capabilities. Russia can set off an EMP here. Terrorists can set off an EMP. If our grid goes down from cyber attacks, then yes, your solar will still work, your generator will still work. All that you've prepared for is going to work fantastic. But if we get hit by an EMP, then your generator is going to be fried and the components for your solar are going to be fried, but your solar panels won't be fried. But let me ask you this, does anybody watching this know how to rewire your solar panels and replace all the wires? The panels are good. The photovoltaic, solar panels are fine, but all the wiring connecting to them has gone bad and they won't work anymore. So do you know how to rewire your solar panels? Well, I do, yeah, but most people don't, okay? And again, I'm going to get into ways at the end of this video that you can protect yourself from all this here. We just had a 4-star general warns, and again, there's a link to this. I believe this is on Fox News, it may have been, but I'm not sure. I have a lot of links I'm giving you guys, but a 4-star general just warned that by 2025, or basically saying in 2025, there's a good probability we're going to be at war with China, okay? Part of the reason he's saying this is because of the divisions we have going on in our country right now. The elections are coming up in 2024, and it's kind of been proven through our last elections and everything else that happened that we are very, very divided right now. And when an enemy wants to hit us, that's the time they're going to hit us, right, is when we're divided. If, we were to basically get hit by an EMP at this time in here, what's going to happen is the country's already divided. We're not standing in unity together. Now we get hit with an EMP, the grid goes down. What happens if the grid goes down, okay? Again, I have links to all this here, but if you just go to Google and you just type in how many people would survive in the U.S. if the grid went down, or let me rephrase that, how many people would not survive in the U.S. if the grid went down, you're going to find it's 90%, okay? It's an unbelievably alarming number, okay? 90% of the people in America would not survive if our grid went down for a period of 6 months, all right? And why would that be? There's quite a few reasons, okay? Everything here, we are dependent on electric. It's that simple. If we have no electric, then we have no banking systems. We have no ATMs. Water treatment plants will not work. Transportation will stop. Grocery stores won't work. And even if they did have food that you can walk in and sell, that they can sell, and there's no power, they're so electronic with their cash registers and their system here that they don't even have ways to ring you up, okay? Water treatment plants go down, a lot of high-rise buildings, even in areas where you have water towers that are fed on gravity, a lot of high-rise buildings are higher than that tower, so the water won't make it up there, so they have pumps that pump it, so you'd have no water. Buildings require air ventilation systems, a lot of them, which would not work, so there's a lot of things that you don't think about that would be affected if you don't have power. And these balloons that just entered our airspace, we knew nothing about them. I'm seeing news reports now saying, yeah, we were watching from the time they left China. Okay, if we were watching from the time they left China, how did they get so far into our airspace before we did something about it? So that makes no sense to me here. What does make sense is like what I've read in the Washington Examiner is our vulnerability to an EMP has just been exposed, okay? These balloons made it over our country at an altitude high enough to where an EMP could have went off and could have completely melted down our power grid. And like I just said before, China spent a lot of time, a lot of money into developing this program. They do have an EMP program, and yeah, they say they'd never use it on us, okay? Well, I highly doubt that, all right? They have the capability of melting down our entire power grid, and we don't really have a way to defend ourselves against that, but we also don't have a way to counteract against that. They've hardened their power grid. We have EMP weapons, and I don't know, I'm not in the government, I'm not in the military, maybe we've designed them in a different way where they would affect them, but they have hardened. Russia, North Korea, South Korea, our ally, but a lot of countries other than us have hardened their power grid to where EMPs will not work. Their civilians won't have to face the reality that you may not have power because your grid has melted down. The bigger problem is, okay, is the statistics are based on 6 months. 90% of the people would not survive for 6 months. It would take anywhere from 4 to 10 years. If we got hit with an EMP like this, it would take anywhere from 4 to 10 years to restore our power grid. Huge transformers that I believe cost around $7 million a piece would be fried in an EMP, and we currently don't have enough stockpiled to where we could replace them in a timely manner. They take an average, I believe, of 2 years to build. So like I said, we're just not ready for something like this. And if you guys wait to the end, I'm going to tell you how individually you could be ready for something like this, because there is ways you can do this. Like I said, you'll find our former Secretary of the Army is warning us to be prepared. And again, there's a link to this. May have been on Fox News. I've seen it. I don't know. I have so many links I'm sending you guys that have been sent to me. But the fact is, like I said, if our grid goes down, then we're basically done, okay? If you're not prepared, but even if you are prepared, and you didn't anticipate this, and You have a generator, but now your generator's not going to work. You have solar, but now your solar's not going to work. But now your solar doesn't work, your generator doesn't work, and again, I'm going to tell you guys how to defend yourself against this, how you could make sure if we get attacked by an EMP, your generator will continue to work, your solar will continue to work. If you guys have prep, then an EMP will not affect us. The fact is, if you get hit by an EMP, there's a pretty good probability you're not even going to know it happened, except your power went out. There's a couple great movies from the 80s. If you haven't seen them, then I would suggest you watch them. They're really, really good. They were made during the Cold War with the Soviet Union. One is called The Day After, okay? The Day After, and you'll find the other one is the 80s version of Red Dawn. There's a newer version, but you'll notice in both movies, people were going on with their day-to-day life. There was nothing going on, and in that very split second, things changed. That was it. In The Day After, people were just sitting watching TV, they were having parties, and all of a sudden all the power went out, okay? The nuclear bombs that went off with the Soviet Union at the time set off an EMP that was so far away that people didn't even see the nuclear blast. They had no idea what happened, but all of a sudden everything went out. Okay, TVs, lights, everything went out. They had no warning whatsoever. And like I told you guys in another video, and I'll put it in the end over here, are you prepared? As well as don't be a panic prepper. These are our first couple videos that we put out. What you'll find if these things happen, it's going to be instantaneous. One day you're going to be sitting and watching TV or at work or doing whatever, driving home, doing whatever you're at a restaurant, and all of a sudden the power will go off. And your first reaction is going to be, oh, what happened? The power went out. I don't see any storms anywhere. I hope it's going to be back on soon. And it's not, okay? And that's what an EMP would do. We're going to be down for anywhere from 4 to 10 years. We're going to be 100% on our own. If you've prepared with food and you've prepared to make sure that you have water, you have shelter, even if you don't have power, then your chances of survival are going to be pretty darn good. Okay, we could live without power. That's proved in the 1800s. As a society today, where we're dependent on power, again, a lot of people don't have food stockpiled away. They have to go to the grocery store, right? And the warehouses have to transport food to the grocery stores. We have electronic banking. You have to be able to go to the ATM. You know, so when computers are down, banks are down, grocery stores are down. These are the reasons why up to 90% of the people would not survive a grid down situation for up to 6 months, okay? Also, when this happens, it's going to be a time that we really have to watch out for, because if this general is right and our country in 2024, we start getting divided all over again, just like we did before, just like the January 6th riots. I mean, I don't think there's been divisions in our country like what I see now. Even, you know, on my Facebook, again, we're close to 3,000 friends, followers, somewhere in that area, and you see a lot of different opinions on there, okay? I don't think we've been this divided since the Civil War in this country. I think we've been pretty, even though we've disagreed with things, I think we've been pretty united in a lot of areas, whereas now we're not, okay? And that's where our enemies are going to want to take advantage of things, all right? So in 2024, if our elections fall apart and things happen all over again, that's part of the reason that's being predicted by this general that in 2025 we'll be in war. Well, keep in mind, even if the Chinese or the Russians or any of our enemies take down the grid, we're going to have our hands so full here that it's a good time that even the terrorist groups might come in and invade us. There's a lot of things here that we're going to have to watch out for, okay? Are these things going to happen? I have no idea, okay? A lot of times you guys might hear me say, will this happen? I don't think so. Are these things that we worry about? Definitely we don't worry about these things, okay? But we do need to be alerted about them, and we do need to be concerned about them, because the time to prepare, and again, these are in some of the links that I've sent you, which are being, you know, by our government people, our generals, secretaries of defenses, other people like that here. Again, saying what we say as preppers, the time to prepare is going to go away, okay? If you're not prepared, then it's going to completely go away. And again, I'm going to get into it just in a minute here, how you guys can prepare and protect yourself from the EMP attack. So you still have your generator working, you still have your solar, stuff like that as well. So what you want to do is your generator, your electronics, they make something that's called Faraday bags, okay? I have not included any links for that, and I'm not an affiliate for any companies that do this here, but what they are is they will protect your electronics from EMPs, okay? What you'd want to do, like, they make one that's a blanket. I've actually just ordered a bunch of these myself here. I do have some that I've made myself, and if you guys want to see a video on how to make your own, you could. They can be made out of tin foil. There's ways to make them out of metal garbage cans, and if you guys want to see a video on this, just let me know, and I could show you how to make your own. But in the meantime, you can just go on and you can Google these things. What I've ordered for mine is like a blanket that I'll just wrap my generator in. I've ordered Faraday bags that I can keep other electronics in that I want to make sure are okay. Another good idea is your solar panels will not be damaged, but the wiring to them will be damaged, okay? Your inverters may be damaged, different things like that. it is not a bad idea to actually, if you could, have extras, all right? Even if it's a simpler one. If you have a split phase inverter now that runs your whole house, okay, and a lot of people who spent a lot of money on solar are going to be pretty surprised because they think they've protected themselves from this kind of situation happening here, and they haven't, all right? Because a lot of these bigger solars even have what's called microinverters on them, which are power inverters that are up on the solar panels themselves. Forget it, they're going to be done, okay? These things are going to be fried in an EMP, so even this big solar system you put on your house isn't going to work. So even if you have a split phase inverter, it's not a bad idea to have 1 or 2 cheaper inverters, okay? And then you want to keep those in a Faraday bag, because if we get hit with an EMP, then these are going to be protected. You would keep extra wiring where you wire your batteries together. Good news being your batteries most likely won't be affected. They don't really have any kind of circuitry in them that would be affected by an EMP, but again, the wiring connected to them would be fried, all right? So having extra wiring and keeping that in the Faraday bag, inverters, charge controllers. It would not even hurt to have some extra panels, okay, to wrap in Faraday blankets and they make Faraday cages. Actually, I've seen them, which are like an entire room that people have desks set up in and have computers set up in and stuff like that, and they are protected from EMPs. So an EMP would not phase you, okay, it wouldn't hurt you. Your solar will still work, your generator will still work. But as far as being prepared for stuff like this here, like I said, we don't know what's coming. What we know is there's a lot going on in the world right now, especially with our enemies, that just really, it's uncertain, okay? So these are the reasons we prepare. We don't panic, but we do make sure that we're aware of these things. I just saw a report, actually news report, as I was coming out here to film this on my news. The TV was on and I was walking out, and our local news just did a survey with these Chinese balloons, asking people how many of them were concerned, how many weren't, and actually 60% of the people out there aren't concerned with these balloons, all right? 40% are, okay? And that kind of tells me that 40% understand a little bit more than what they're just seeing on the news. What you're seeing on the news is, hey, a Chinese balloon entered our airspace with spy cameras and antennas and they spied on us. Oh, big deal, right? The 40% actually, though, realize what I'm giving you in the links here, what the Washington Examiner, article in the Washington Examiner said, is our vulnerability to an EMP attack has just been exposed. A Chinese balloon made it from wherever it was launched into our airspace, all the way across the country. At any time, had an EMP, could have set off an EMP and fried our entire grid. It was that quick. And we didn't know what was going on. So, like I said, guys, these are things that you do want to be aware of. You do want to make sure that you are prepared for these things here. Prepare for this, it's standard preparations, just like you're preparing for a storm. Make sure you have plenty of canned food, but keep in mind, if the grid, we get hit by an EMP and the grid does go down, it can be a quite long time that you guys are going to have to take care of yourself, because like I said, you're reading some of the links here that I'm posting. Our grid could be down from anywhere from 4 to 10 years in that area here, so you're going to be on your own for quite some while if that happens. So being prepared, you want to make sure you have canned food, sources of water, different sources of water. I know that in the beginning you guys may have seen that when I was talking about the 4 elements of survival, I've talked about different ways, and again, like I said, I have over 5 different ways to get water here. I haven't done that video yet. Eventually I will get around to it. We did kind of get focused on a very important part of prepping, which is electricity. You do really need to have electricity, okay? Your refrigerators will not work, but again, if we get hit with an EMP, these are the kind of things that will be fried, all right? Refrigerators, TVs, you know, all kinds of electronics will basically be fried. Your electrical panel, the breakers, things like that may be fried as well. So in my case, I have a bunch of extra breakers. I'm throwing them in the Faraday bag. So these are what you can do, okay? It's a good idea to have an extra inverter, even if it's a smaller one that's just going to give you power. It is a possibility if you have a newer refrigerator and it's completely sealed, that your refrigerator is going to be fine. But like I said, a possibility, okay? It is a higher probability your refrigerator will not be fine, all right? But a newer one that's completely sealed, it is possible it might survive an EMP attack, okay? If you've heard, some people who are watching this right now will probably comment that, oh, just put your stuff in a microwave, put your stuff in this, okay? It's been tested, that doesn't work, right? A police department somewhere in the country, I don't remember where they were, and I don't even know if this is one of the links I included or not, I don't think it is actually, did this experiment with the microwave, okay? Putting things in a microwave. They did not set off an EMP, it was something different, I forget what, but it was the same thing as an EMP, basically, the way it was done, but they were trying to protect these devices, and the microwave didn't work. What they did find is certain commercial grade microwaves did work to protect against the EMP, right? So like I said, guys, these are some of the ways you can protect yourself. Faraday bags are going to be your best bet. If you want to see a video on how to make these things, how you can make a Faraday cage out of a garbage can, and even using tin foil, there's well, Well, let's just say shoplifters actually make their own Faraday bags, so they can actually, I'm not going to get into how to do this here. It's way different than what I'm talking about. But so they can walk past the scanners. You know, you have little scanners that you're walking in and out the doors there. They actually make little bags that are similar to this. And again, I'm not going to teach you guys how to do that. It's different than what we're talking about. But shoplifters actually steal things and they can walk right through without anybody even knowing about it, right? Because it blocks the signal. Right? These things will block the signal, and that's what happens. They will block that burst of energy and the electromagnetic burst coming down. It will block that, and it'll protect your devices. So again, guys, you want to see more on that, then or how to build your own. Like I said, what I will show you is I'll show you things that are big enough to protect your own things, you know, electronic devices, stuff like that as well. So if you guys want to know that, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, comment down below, let me know. Again, I'm including a bunch of links over here. If you guys have any feedback on this stuff here, throw it in the comments. A lot of times our videos these days are being based on your comments, things you guys want to know, or even things you guys are bringing my attention to, letting me know. Like I said, guys, this is not a long video here, but it's something that, like I said, I really needed to bring to your attention. I would suggest you watch the links, read the links that I put below, and you'll learn a lot more about what we're going on. But this is definitely something that you guys need to be prepared for. Things are very uncertain right now in the world, and again, our vulnerability has just been exposed. Had China been attacking us, it's too late. It would have been too late. Had that balloon entered our atmosphere with an EMP bomb on it, then I wouldn't be having this conversation with you guys right now, because there would be no YouTube. The camera I'm being filmed on right now wouldn't work. Your electronic devices, some things, I read that cell phones may work, and I doubt that. You're going to see a lot of mixed things on here, but things that have circuitry in them, have computer boards, have computer chips, that's going to be the probability that they're not going to work, okay? Some people out there want to say cars are going to work, and I doubt it. I doubt cars are going to work, because that's one of the first things that you see goes out in an EMP. Some people have said cars prior to the 1960s, an old car, has a higher possibility that it still works because it doesn't have the electronic stuff that we have today. But fact of the matter is, guys, is most everything is vulnerable to an EMP attack if that happens. So that's it, guys. If you have any questions on this, like I said, comment down below. Give me your feedback here, but I would strongly recommend that you go to the links and you read the links, because there's a lot more than what I talked about here. But like I said, this video is to bring attention, all right? We've just had a Chinese, what they call a spy balloon, enter our atmosphere that could have set off anything. It could have been an EMP. It could have simply just released some kind of biological stuff. A lot of things could have happened here, right? But I don't just think that this was a Chinese balloon. I think that we were tested. Actually, they wanted to see if they actually could get it into our country without us knowing about it, and guess what? They did. So anyways, guys, like I said, that's it. I'll try to talk more about this in maybe another video, but again, I recommend that you guys read the links that I posted here, and kind of go from there. Comment down below. So anyways, guys, have a great day, have a great weekend. Daytona 500 this weekend. I'm not a big race fan, but if you are, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your race. Have a great day, guys.